Law number 4. Always say less than necessary. There's a strange thing about power. It isn't loud. It isn't verbose. It doesn't explain itself. Power speaks and then stops. Most people think influence comes from being persuasive, from having the best arguments, the most words, the clearest explanations. But in reality, the more you say, the more you give away. You reveal your doubts. You expose your motives. You create openings. Silence, on the other hand, does something strange. It makes people lean in. It creates gravity. It forces others to fill the space with their own assumptions. And that's where power quietly shifts. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people in a room. One of them talks constantly. They explain themselves. They justify every decision. They narrate their thoughts out loud. The other person speaks only when necessary. Short answers, measured words, no emotional over-explaining. Who feels more in control? Almost always, it's the second person. Not because they're smarter, but because they're unreadable. Mystery creates authority. Now, here's where most people get this law wrong. They think it means cold, or arrogant, or emotionally distant. That's not what this is. This law isn't about withholding affection. It's about withholding excess. Excess information, excess justification, excess emotional leakage. When you explain too much, you surrender the frame. When you speak less, others project meaning onto you. And projection is power. Think about this. Have you ever noticed how people who talk the least in a meeting often get listened to the most? It's not because they're brilliant. It's because their words feel scarce. Scarcity creates value. The same principle applies in conflict. The person who rushes to explain loses leverage. The person who pauses gains it. Silence unsettles. Silence forces recalibration. Silence makes people reveal themselves. This isn't about manipulation. It's about control of your inner world. When you speak less, you give yourself more time to think. When you speak less, you make fewer mistakes. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. Most people talk because they're afraid of being misunderstood. But power accepts misunderstanding. Power lets people wonder. Power lets people guess. So the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself, pause. Ask yourself, is this necessary? Or am I trying to feel safe? Because safety and power don't always live in the same place. Law number 4. Always say less than necessary. Not to hide, but to hold your center.